Do you think we have a tendency to romanticize the radicals of yesteryear when we reflect on the 60s? As having been one of those radicals myself, the answer for my peers is definitely yes.
I think for people like you, Kojo, I think for former radicals, there is almost nothing but romance about their youths, because we all, of course, romanticize our youths, and people who were full of anger and protest in the late 1960s, those were the days. Bliss was it to be alive. So yeah, for sure. And I think that leads those people to see the 60s in one kind of canonical way, that it was all about we shall overcome and anti-war, successful anti-war protests. There are lots of strands out of the 60s. Some of them, a lot of them, mostly were great. Some of them maybe not so great.
And we have a tendency to reflect on when we did bad things and say, well, we made mistakes.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
Exactly.
We don't ever specify what the nature of the bad things we did, or, as you also pointed out, we had a tendency to blame it on our opposition to, quote-unquote, the man, as during the course of that period.
And I, again, as part of my research, in addition to reading a bunch of James Bond novels, I read a lot of memoirs of famous 60s radicals, in which most of them never really cop, in my view, to the mistakes that were made. And look at what Nixon was doing. Look at what Johnson was doing. Look at what Kissinger was doing. Yeah, but
Karen Hollander seems to personify the idea that you used to be able to move past some boneheaded, silly, bad things that you did as a teenager without it seeming to adversely affect your future success. With the rise of the internet, with the rise of social media, those days seem to be over. Do you think that younger generations have been cheated in a way?
I don't know about cheated, but I think there was something. I realized as I was writing her story and the story of her friends, that there was something about getting away with it that really characterizes that generation. I don't know. I believe we'll see in 10, 20, 30 years, the fullness of time, whether subsequent generations have that sense of, man, we really got away with it back in the day, and look at the lives we've led. I'm not sure that will. I don't think that is going to be unique necessarily to the baby boomers.
I'm thinking about the president smoking pot in Hawaii as a teenager. I'm thinking of Mitt Romney being accused of bullying as a teenager, remembering my own teenage life and shuddering at the thought that some people may actually remember some of the things I did back then.
Well, exactly. And of course, the president copped to smoking pot and doing blow and all the rest in a way that Governor Romney hasn't. So it's interesting how it becomes convenient for people later in life to put all that they did as young people into the youthful indiscretion pile. We all. I mean, to be young is to be indiscreet, if you were living right.